Hello and welcome back to How to Connect with Humans. This is series 4 and it's episode 9, the one before the last one. So, hello Wayne, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
I am good.
Good.
This is going to be so much fun.
It is.
Can you see we're already having fun? Look, So, it's Neon, it's Severus, it's a party, it's family, it's what we love the most. It's the Fantastic Four. It's incredible people. We love them. We love them so much, and they're here today because they're going to give us a big surprise. That's what they said. So it's a surprise. We don't know. Basically, we agreed to do this episode based on they said, well, it's a surprise. So they know. We don't know. This is how serious this series is. All right. So we have Mr. Mr. Peter Mears. We have Derrick Mason. We have Omar Wilson, and we have Christopher Mavinga. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hi, guys.
Sweet as.
Hi, Carolina. What an intro, eh? What an intro, eh, guys?
Love that. Sound like I was coming in the boxing ring.
Oh boy, that's quite an act to follow now. We've got quite a thing to live up to now, fellas. So let's pull it out the bag if we can.
So do you know what it was? The surprise was there's no surprise. Do you know what? I got a little game for you lot. This is a surprise. And this is my little game. I call it the awareness game. And I would like everybody to take part. I can't see everybody, but I would like everybody to take part.
So would you like us to get people on? So if we put the grid, so before I do that, if you don't want to be on the recording, oh, we have Mama J with a ribbon on her head, and we have some hats. It's really cool. So if you want to do the party thing, do it. So we're gonna put the grid. If you don't want to be on the video, please just put the camera off on your video so we can't see you. I can't do this. No, I can't do this. There we go. So we can see everybody now. And so you're going to be able to, so unmute yourself if you want to.
Don't even have to unmute.
You don't have to unmute.
No.
Okay. So Omar, you take the floor because I don't.
Don't worry, Carolina. You get involved as well. Face me. Right? Everybody, give me your beautiful look. Good. All right, give me your hand, right hand. Now just follow my instructions, right? So first of all, easy one. First of all, very easy. Put your hand on your forehead. Next one. Put your hand on your cheek. This one's going to be a bit difficult. Cover your right eye. Okay. Now, the next one, put your hand on your chin. Okay. That's the exercise there. So for anybody that put their hand on their nose, they just wasn't aware that I said put your hand on your chin. And this is the beauty of awareness, guys. It's incredible when you're aware of something, because when you're not aware of it, the body kind of takes over, the mind takes over. You kind of put something else in place. You put your own version in place. You do the easiest thing. You kind of just follow. But once you're aware, the possibilities are just endless. And I'm going to hand that over straight to Derrick.
Yeah, because that's what we're talking about today, basically awareness. And now, like Omar said, just being aware of where you are at in that moment is all that you really need to do. Because like you said, with the touching the chin and touching the nose, it's like we like to take them shortcuts. But in the moment, our shortcut is a lot to do with our thinking, what we've probably built up and don't know if it's true. But because it's the option was there in the moment, we just go with it. And it might feel good at the time to blame somebody else or to put what's happened on somebody else's door. But when you really look into it, or when you really see it for what it is, That's not being aware of where you're really at. And just by being aware, you can, for me, being aware sort of turned my life around, because and being aware on a bigger level, not just being aware of what's happening right now, but being aware of what mistakes I'd made in the past, which also allowed me to be aware of the mistakes I was making now in the moment, just by that way I was thinking. And being aware of that in myself, it wasn't easy to accept at first, the true being aware and taking responsibility. But that's what being awareness boils down to, taking responsibility. Because like the beginning of this webinar, I don't know, I think it must have been you, Omar, because you're the only one outside, and those birds were singing. Yeah, I was aware of that, and that was singing in my ears, and I was tuning in, and maybe a bit too much to the singing than I was to what was going on. But I was aware of that, and I was prepared to go down that road, because I was just listening to them sing until it's my time to talk. But it kind of took me away from, this is crazy, it kind of took me away from where my head was at with, is this thing gonna be all right? Are we gonna do well? Is the subject what we're talking about good enough? Have I got enough to say? But then the birds just took me away from that. Just took me, and that is what was happening in that moment. And all the thinking that I had produced, that was my way of like producing a shortcut to thinking, how do I get rid of this feeling? Or how do I not feel anxious? But then just in life, in the moment, the bird just took me out of it. And unless you got some little bird box behind you where you cued it for me, that was perfect pre-planning, mate. If it wasn't, then that was just mind in action. Just mind in action. And we talked about speaking about awareness, and it just happened to me just like that. That's why when we say, we was talking earlier, Caroline, and you said we don't teach the principles. We just talk as experience, and through experience, we can see how the principle shows up. And I think that is just a perfect example, because I didn't even think about that until I've just said it out of my mouth and known that it took me away from that, which is just, see, that awareness after the fact helped me know that being aware in the moment was there in the moment for me. And yeah, I love that. I love that. And I hand it over to one of the other Fab Four.
Do you know what, Derrick? That just made me realise that I wasn't aware that I was nervous, because I totally forgot about it.
Trust me.
Totally forgot about it. But yeah, for me, awareness has been huge. You know, some of you know my story. You know, being an alcoholic, well, not an alcoholic, and had an addiction to alcohol and drugs for over 25 years. But now having that awareness of, I can actually control my thoughts. I don't have to listen to any voices I used to have in my head and stuff. It's huge. And well, it's life changing. You know, living proof of that. So yeah, that awareness, yeah, use it every day, and I love it. I like catching myself as well. Yeah, because we're all human at the end of the day. But yeah, I still get caught up in my head. Yeah, and occasionally I'm like, no, I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. I love doing that. I really enjoy doing that. So yeah,
that catch is the awareness right there. That catch. Because I feel like before I wasn't able to secure that catch, I would make an excuse for it.
And that is sort of like when you put it more.
But you say with that, it's like more like separate realities. When you're aware of that, you're aware of separate realities.
Fact.
And I still have certain blind spots on my journeys. And it's helped, and sometimes I do get into my head and then I feel like, right, is this really it? Until I speak to someone, and then in that moment, and just being aware that I can speak to someone instead of feeling how I'm feeling, I can reach out in that moment and not just go for it by myself, or have another option and probably not see that option at that particular time because I'm so caught up in it. But just knowing that, being aware of my feelings and knowing that it can lead me astray, or it can lead me back into that light where I need to be if I just speak, and actually speak and just be present with them at the same time. Because when you're not present and you're not aware and you're not aware of yourself, and sometimes I haven't been aware of myself, knowing that what you go through in life is normal sometimes, but sometimes we just feel like it's overwhelming and there's no way out of it, and you can't find a door to just open and just take that 2 seconds and 5 seconds. You just, all right, everything's going to be okay. Because sometimes, I did it literally a couple of days ago where like I literally thought it was going a bit too much, and I just literally took a deep breath. It felt like, I don't know if anyone's seen that film with Will Smith and I believe his son's Jaden, when he takes a knee for a second, he takes a knee and just gets his mind right. Yeah, and I literally felt like that, and I just took a second, and I realized at that moment there's people and there's worse situations than what I'm in at that moment. How can I allow myself to feel like this if there's actually other things in the world that actually worse than my situation at that time? So, like, to just have that wow and that clearance, thinking like, bro, what were you doing? So just being aware and actually knowing that separate realities, and actually being aware of yourself and how you're feeling at that time, to just guide you back into that safe zone. So yeah, like it's real. So yeah, this subject that came up is kind of a blessing still.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's one of the biggest things I think I noticed, and one of the biggest shifts I ever had was about realities. That, everyone's got their own reality. I never looked at life like that, simply because I didn't know there was such a thing until I got this understanding. But then, it explains a lot as well, and especially about past realities. I held on to my past realities from childhood, which was, well, some of was absolute hell for me. Which drove me to drink and drugs and stuff. But then, those realities, they're not real. They're not happening anymore. And as soon as I literally got to grips with that and started dropping that, then everything else really started to click into place, around me. Everything changed. My habitual thinking changed. But, just knowing that we're all in our own, little bubble, I suppose. That does help. It saved me from a few arguments at work with my business partner.
I think that's where it shows up for me as well. Like when you get into confliction, or I get into an argument with the mother of my children, and I know that I'm up in my head, but as soon as I'm aware of that, because of what I've seen, from I'm aware, I know my options then become more broader. And then same thing what you said, Chris, I then see the separate reality, and that just takes the sting out of it in an instant, just knowing that whatever she's talking about in that moment is real to her. So I can't belittle that. So me just trying to throw more of what I'm thinking about at her, it's not going to get through. So, and then I see the innocence in her as well, and she's just trying to defend her position. So seeing that for me just lets me just cut through things. And I know it all begins with awareness. Just being aware, because these things weren't possible. But the first thing for me that awareness opens is options. Options to know that where it broke me was situations where I'd been in before, where I didn't see no option. And that was the only thing that I possibly could have done. And then now with this understanding, I can look back and I can see that nanosecond where there was that thought, but I just dismissed it and just carried. Now that was the gap. Now, if I can see that gap in real time, in the moment, then I'm winning. But like Wilson said, and like Pete said, if I do go over the line and then I see it afterwards, there's always learning for me in that moment. Not to beat myself up and say, how did I end up going so far down the track? No, the learning's in what was that moment when I decided to go down the track. And if I can look at that and see that for what it is, then maybe next time I won't go down that track again. Because when you say go down the track, they never look the same. It's never the exact same reason why I go down the track. It's always slightly different, but it's the same thought process. So if you can nip a bud in that thought process, then you nip a bud in that whole action. And that's shown up for me where it sort of changed me how I am, because I was watching a show the other day. I don't know if I shared this before. I was watching a show the other day, and they was talking about some criminal robbed something or done something, and then they caught him, and I was like, yeah, you bloody, they caught him. You're right to get caught. But if you know my history, I'm not usually like that. I'm like, yeah, get away from the police. But something inside me just said, yeah, they got him. That shocked me. No, that shocked me because I thought, well, okay. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, he done wrong anyway. You shouldn't be robbing from them kind of people. Or I just excused it in my sort of way. But initially, I felt good at that. And that is something that I've never even thought of before. But it hit me, that thought hit me, and I went with that feeling. And I know there weren't no thinking involved. That was just how I thought in the moment. And yeah, that's just how that being aware has changed me when I'm unaware, if that even makes sense.
I like that. For me, it's that. For what changed me is I'm aware of categories now. I'm gonna go outside in a minute as well because it's getting a bit dark. But I'm aware of categories now. Aware that I used to always categorize things: people, food, labels, clothing, anything, you name it. I'll put in a category, and it'll be high, low, very low, super low. I can't talk to you low, or high, very high, or I can't talk to you high. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. So it's like all those levels and boundaries, and then I would place myself in between, you know, and see where I fit according to what I see. And then if I get something and I would feel I should go up that tier, and it's crazy. It's like certain things I did, I thought, oh, I should go up that tier and I should go down, and these people should see me like this and see me like that. And it was crazy because I did a lot of things to up myself in a category that I was creating. But that's the thing, I didn't know I was creating it. That's the awareness there. I didn't know it was a thing that I created. I'm moving myself up and down. Furthermore, I'm creating the whole list, and this, I wasn't aware of that. So before that awareness, it was real to me, and you couldn't tell me it wasn't. You know, I would fight you to climb the ladder. You know, you couldn't tell me that that ladder's not real to me. So to be aware that I have created that category list, that rule book, that everything, I have created it, even to the fact to call a car, or to learn to know English, or to not know that, all these things I've created. And just to be aware of that, even in a situation where you do get frustrated, or you do get angry, or your head takes you quick, and then after the fact, just to be aware of where your head was at. As, do you know what I mean? Just know that, okay, wow, like I've really let myself take myself there. Try saying that to yourself. I really let me take me there. It always sounds silly when I say it out loud, but it's something I do. I will take myself there. You say you call me a name, and I'll take myself there. But before the awareness, I would have said you took me there. But with the awareness, I can say, wow, I took myself all the way there. And I think that's the beauty with the awareness bit.
I think you just touched on it perfectly there, Wilson. You see, like, I don't think we fully understand the power of the labels that we put on things, or to the different degrees as to how many labels. Because I thought I had labels for maybe people that look like me, then people that don't look like me, but I've realized I've got labels for maybe a black man in a suit has got a different label than a white man in a suit, then maybe an Asian man in a suit, then maybe a white guy with a bald head in a suit, and a white guy with a beard in. They're all labeled off so differently in my head that really I can't keep up, but it does it automatically. But when I've spoke to people and spoke in groups of different community people and just had that connection, and it's just raw connection based on their just open-heartedness to my open-heartedness. It's just a connection, and when I get that connection, the label, or that even sometimes the unconscious bias label that I may have put on them, when that falls away, you feel it fall away. And you're like, oh, what's that? And you look and you think, oh, it's a label I put on it. Oh, wow. And I feel bad for even having that label, but because I know the principles comforts me, I know that I can look on that label and know I've shed it and see it for what it was. It was like Wilson said, it was me that made up that label. I've seen the suit and I've seen the bald head and I've started thinking whatever I'm thinking. Now, when that falls off me and I notice it for what it is, to me, that's a beautiful moment. That's a beautiful moment that another layer has come off. And the more different type of people I get in front of, the more layers I see how multi-layered this labels and the power I put in that label, I just look at them and judge them straight away. And I thought this was just for people that I had dealt with in my life. Like Omar said, there's people that I thought I can't talk in their presence because they're just so far up above me. And there's people that I can't talk to, they can't talk to me because they're so far below me. But the power that we put in that, and for me to now know that there is no hierarchy. We're all just human beings talking. Well, when we get out of way of ourselves, we're all human beings just talking from heart to heart, soul to soul. But when the thinking's in the way, that's when we're talking from whatever level, same thing what Wilson said, from whatever level we assume or assign ourselves and assign the other person you're talking to. But being aware that none of that is real. When I talk to somebody, I'm talking to the person behind the words. I'm talking to, that's what I'm talking to, the truth behind the person. And
like that,
that's what I like to explore. Go on, Chris.
Because not everyone's the same. You know, when you have certain experience and then you bump into the same color as that person and you feel like you're going to go through the same experience, but you're not. But you're bringing that experience into reality because you're just bringing it out. And I noticed that when I went to, I had a removal job a couple of weeks ago, and I literally was about to say it because he wasn't trying to help me. When you're removing someone, at least like help me with your stuff as well. You know, you want to put something, he wasn't helping at all. So it's like, rah. And I was just about to say it like, and then I was like, caught myself like, no, he's not. Because the other day, like, there was a person the same color as him and he was perfectly helping. So I actually caught myself because I was aware. So it's like, certain times when we're not aware of that as well. Like, we bring certain realities back into our lives while we had a little problem with, and we bring it into existence, not knowing. But if you're aware of that and you know that everyone's different, and as long as you turn up as yourself, and certain times we put things in the rule book that carries on. And like we must have had a conversation, me and Derrick, a few weeks ago, even like Christopher Wren, that was a nickname, and it's been like that. I haven't changed my Facebook name or anything. Like, I'm bringing whatever dramas that I brought in, I'm bringing it into now, but I don't even hardly speak to most of them people there, but it's just because it's still there and I just can't be bothered. But certain things are still following because the Wren's there, but change the Wren and put Mavinga, who knows? So yeah, I still haven't done it, Derrick. I need to do it still.
in your own time, man, no pressure, man. Because like I said, I want to draw to that conversation, because even that's a brilliant topic, Chris, because that brought awareness to me. Because before this understanding, or before I went to prison, you wouldn't find no trace of me of anywhere on any social media under my official name. No pictures of me online, no pictures of my family, no pictures of my children. Yeah, because I went about that life of being tracked on through online. And when I got this understanding, because even my name Derrick, I've only used that for about 3 years out of my 49-year life, because it's serious. Because my family, my dad's name's Derrick, so my family, my mum and my brother and sisters call me Junior, so everybody around me calls me Junior. Derrick I used for about a few years when I was growing up, and then when everyone got to know me, they just started to call me Junior, and I didn't like the name Derrick, so that's a different story. But I never used to use that name at all. But when I've come out and got this understanding, I realized that was an awareness that I was lacking, in that the name that I was given, I should be proud. If I'm prepared to show up as me, then it's full, it's all in. The name, the faith, everything. So then when I put my name out there, and when I put it on and I looked at it and I saw my name, it sort of liberated me to say, wow, that's me, and I'm out there. And I can say that name out loud and be proud that that person's there. And if you want to find that person, there I am. And I just felt a sort of detachment from all the street names and the road names that I used to have. They just sort of fell away. And I realized that person that I'm looking at, Derrick Mason, that is me. And I'm proud of that person, how he's showing up now. But it was a big thing for me before that. And I wasn't even aware of that until I put my name up and decided, you know what, I'm going all in. And just bringing that up now, Chris, that was a big awareness moment for me to actually take ownership of my name, which is something that I haven't done. Take ownership of me, basically, and my everything I've done and where I am now. Just take responsibility for it. Just by being aware of it has enabled me to do that. So yeah, awareness, big topic. Awareness is the start for me. It's actually the start.
So I was gonna say, we run a group called the VIP, right? Virtual Impact Program, and can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, and we've done two. I've done two anyway, and for me personally, they've been successful because we just created I've created like a love and a bond for people I didn't even know over a mic and Zoom. So it's like that's been successful for me. But on the second one, there was a guy, right, and a couple people refused to work with him because I'm not sure, maybe because they were busy or because of they thought it was too much. But obviously we agreed to work with him because we don't really like anything to get in the way, not even money, not anything. We don't like anything to get in the way. We'll rather just have a conversation or a connection. So we agreed to work with this guy, and I didn't know that I had this judgment in the background, because it wasn't like I was acting on this judgment or I was trying to treat this guy from this judgment. But what I already knew about him and about him from the interview we had as well, somewhere in the back I had this judgment about him, right? And in this judgment, I couldn't really see hope because I was looking at him as well and I didn't really see hope in it. And it's obviously we do what we do with the love and compassion. And it's a 10-week course, but he dropped out for like 3 weeks and he came back. And we finally had like, me and Derrick had a 2-to-1 with this guy, right? Well, do you know what? No, I'm lying. Before that, he sent this email, right? And the email blew my head off. The reason why it blew my head off is because my judgment didn't allow it. My judgment, let me try to articulate this right. My judgment didn't allow me to let him write like that, if that makes sense. My judgment says he can't write like that. So when this letter's getting read, inside I'm feeling all this weight of, one, I've burst my own bubble of stupidity judgment, which I didn't even know was there. And two, this message is just touching my heartstrings straight. So after this beautiful message, right, me and Derrick jumped on a 2-to-1 with this guy. And I don't know what judgment I had left after this message, but it just kept getting shattered and shattered and shattered and shattered, because I know that in my past experience of my life, my judgment on certain people is a certain type of way. So it's like everything just kept getting crushed and crushed. And we made the most beautiful connection with this guy. And he's like 66, and I've never had a more beautiful conversation, only because I didn't feel it was possible. I didn't allow, like, my judgment just took over. He said, yeah, that's not possible. But it was possible, and it was showing me everything I said is impossible is possible. That's when it was just great. And I was aware only at that moment that I had this judgment. Because I didn't know. I thought, okay, yeah, we've done courses and I don't really judge, and I don't. But for some reason it was there, but I only knew that, and I was only aware of it once it was broken and it was shattered in my face. And from that, we just had this beautiful connection with this guy, and he's just the most loving guy. And it's just crazy.
I think that's lovely what you said there, Wilson, because you know what it is? It's us stepping out of our own way when we're prepared to step out of our own way, because when you look and you think you haven't got no judgment, you stand in front of your own way when you see it, but you don't want to see it. So you stand in front of your own way and say, oh, that's because of this or that's because of that. But if you just move out of your own way, the love is there to be felt from anybody. And that is just beautiful. I just love that. I love that. Is it time for the questions, Caroline, or how's everyone feeling with this?
Yeah, but we could. Let's do you want to? I think people can unmute themselves if they want to. So you can unmute yourself, ask a question, or put your hand up on the virtual little hand up. If we, for whatever reason, we feel that maybe we want to give other people time to also have, so please don't feel bad if at some point, maybe if you're going for a long sharing, not you, I'm saying like somebody's going for a long sharing, we say like, well, we will like to give people opportunity to for everybody to ask questions. So we have a lovely group, and so just so you can ask questions. You can
Wendy.
Hello, my lovely. Just a quick one. The thoughts you have from your judgment for anybody are all made up in the moment, and that's using your five senses, isn't it? Because even if you didn't have sight, you still have judgment from what you're hearing, what you're smelling. In the moment, you have judgment. You know, in another week, you could judge that person, that situation totally differently. So judgment is just, it's all made up from your thought, isn't it?
100%. And do you know where that, if I could just respond to that, what highlights that for me is I could see somebody, and I've never dealt with this person before in my life, but all of the people that look like him and talk like him that I've ever dealt with in my life have tried to hurt me. So I would look at him and think that straight away without even knowing or giving it any consideration. And he could be the one trying to help me. But that's a bit of an extreme circumstance, but that's the same way we just easily form judgments in our head, and it's innocently done, like you said, in the moment.
Yeah, another thing is you could judge someone with respect walking down the street with a hoodie on. That's a bad person. Well, I've got a relative, she walks with a hoodie on because she has severe anxiety. So there's judgment in that moment. What are we really seeing? You know, until you have a conversation or unless you know that person, you just use your judgment, and it's innocence in the moment, isn't it? Your judgment.
You know what? I was world's worst for that. I judged everybody and everything before getting some understanding. I really did. I was a nightmare looking back on it. But you know, the one thing that always springs to mind now is never judge a book by its cover. You know, and it's so true. You know, I try not to judge now. I do find myself occasionally, but then I pull myself on it straight away, and then give myself a good talking to, I suppose.
I realized that judgment is not a bad thing, right? It's actually not a bad thing. We do it every day. You know what I mean? I realized this when I play sports. You know, I play basketball. I judge the power that I need to, to get the ball to the net, or I judge in football how I'm going to run and speed and this quick thinking. Even when you look at a drink in a shop and you look at the drink and you judge it by, if it's dusty, you're going to look at the date, and if it looks fresh, you might, so we use it and it's valid. It's valid. You might pick up a milk and smell it and then look at the date and it might be out of date, and then that judgment was good. That helped you. This is why we go for it. This is why sometimes, because it's helped us in our life. So some people, they have judgment on dogs, and maybe every time they've judged a dog, and that dog's probably attacked them. So now they're going to judge dogs, and for them, it's a good thing, but it's like sometimes it serves us well, sometimes it doesn't. But I feel like that mixed with the wisdom will show you when that will serve you well and when it doesn't. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's no one's decision to say if it serves you well or serves you not. Because look at me, I'm still shit scared of spiders. Do you know what I mean? I am. I'm shit scared of spiders. And I've actually tried to just get over it, but I can't at the moment. Do you know what I mean? But I'm aware of it. Go on, D.
It's like what you're saying, Wilson. Everything from the ranging of the most best experience to your feeling of the worst experience. It's all just part of the range of being human. So judgment is something what's given to us, what we are capable of doing. And we can overdo it and we can use it in the wrong way. But like you said, it is a tool available. It is something available in our box, in our armory. But when too much thinking's involved, then it becomes something. But just to be aware of it. You don't have to do anything about it. Just be aware of it. And that's all we can do with it. And then if it falls away, it falls away. You might have an attachment to your judgment. You might be aware of it and say, no, I'm keeping that. That ain't going nowhere. Yeah. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But just by being aware of it, good luck with that, trying to do that one. But yeah, all you have to do is just be aware of it. And that's the beauty of it for me.
So that judgment there, that brings me back to labels. Because, you know, we've spoke about how we label everyone else. We haven't spoke about how we label ourselves. Because the amount of labels I had on myself when I was an addict, I hated myself. I hurt myself. I cut myself. I tried killing myself. But the amount of labels I had, and now I've got no labels. I don't think I have. I've got no labels or attachment to anything like that, you know, to myself now. But we do. We go through life torturing ourselves because I'm this, or I've been told I'm a label. So I categorize myself as this. I categorize myself as that. You know, that's the worst thing.
See,
is how we label ourselves.
You've just put the two of the worst things together there now, because judgment and on ourselves, I can only speak for myself. I know I've always been harder on myself than anybody else. I've always been my worst critic and always trying to self-correct or thinking, and that's what got me into the pickle in the first place, by judging on myself, trying to improve, and then thinking what other people wanted from me and trying to work towards that, just trying to judge myself. Now, if that judgment went on myself and it's something what Omar says, I don't care, then I wouldn't have got myself in that pickle in the first place. I just don't care. But because I care about what I think people are going to think about me, because I'm harsh on myself, then, and nobody really wants that from me. What I really realized is people just want me to show up as me. They don't want none of that rubbish what's attached or that made up stuff I've made up from. No, they just want me to show up as me. And
see what I got from that, Derrick? From what when we stop concentrating on the outside and concentrating on the inside, that's when we turn up and we let go of all judgments. We let go. We don't care what the other person's thinking of until we in our head. But once we're in our head, we're caring about what the person's thinking or what he's thinking. You know what I mean? We stop loving ourselves because we start thinking about what they love about us.
Yeah.
Oh
my God. Yes, my brother.
We forget about that. We forget about all that. You know what I mean? We concentrate on them on what society wants, and we forget who really, really, really cares about at this particular time, and it's us. Like you, us. That's like, without us, like we can't move the car. You know what I mean? Without us, we can't move at all. So like, man, that self-gratitude, that self-love, that self-belief, that self-want, and literally looking at the ego and saying, you know what, you're all right for now. You've been playing for too long. It's my time to take over now. You know what I mean? Just letting the ego there for rest and just telling him to chill, man. Because sometimes he gets me in trouble. He's got me in trouble a lot of times, you know what I mean? But when I came out as just me and not BC, I loved it. I flipping loved it. And everyone else loved me, you know what I mean? But I quickly wore the mask for that particular second and came back as someone else and forgot, like, you know what, to just be me and be loved. So, yeah, man.
Because we know what love is. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy because we already know what love is. We already know that feeling. We already know where we want to be, what feeling, what state we want to be in, right? But due to what we create, we misdirect it. And I feel like that's why we're hard on ourselves, because we just misdirect it. You know, it's like if everybody was wearing brown shoes and you had white shoes, you misdirect it. You would want to follow, you would want exception, because it's misdirected. You want it all from the outside when it really comes from the inside. So every time I was looking outside, I realized I was just running further and further and further away from me to impress other people on thoughts I created, which sounds crazy. You know what I mean? It sounds crazy, you know, you're impressing people to the thoughts you create. So you're only really judging yourself if you do good or not based on things you decide are good or not. Is this making sense?
It's crazy. That's, you know what, that's crazy, Omar. Because you know how that resonates with me. I used to meet girls and I used to bring them to my friends and then drive off and then come back next day and say their opinion mattered on how far I would take that relation. If they said, no, she was ugly, I wouldn't phone her, I wouldn't see her again. But if they was like, oh, she looked nice, and I'll be like, yeah, is it? Not letting them know that's what I'm doing, but just taking their opinion. And then I'll say, okay, yeah, I'll take it further. But it wouldn't go any further if all of them said, no, she was ugly, man. Oh, didn't you see her big feet? Or didn't you see? Yeah, I wouldn't take it. No, and I would live off of that. And and it couldn't be at that time. It couldn't be no other way, because if I was with a girl and all of my friends thought she weren't good looking, then I'm not driving around with her. And that was it. Simple. But this understanding now shows me that was so much rubbish. That's just taking me further away, like you said, from myself.
That extended to everything.
That's rubbish, man.
Trainers,
yeah.
Extended to name brands, that extended to where you shopped at, where I'm from, that extended to where you shopped at, where your parents shopped at, where they could afford to. Like, it came down to all of that. And I'll be honest with you, like, even back then, I didn't want to be that one guy where everybody was getting onto. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to be the one where everybody's laughing at and everybody. I just wanted to be cool. Do you know what I mean? That's crazy, because what I pictured was cool was nobody picking on you, you picking on everybody else, but I'm here watching you not pick on everybody else, so I'm cool. Do you know what I mean? Just because you're not picking on me. So I thought anything I could do for you not to pick on me made me cool. And it's just crazy. Yeah, it's crazy because it's just our creations of it. And then we try to protect ourselves. And that's mainly what it is, isn't it? Protection. We want safety. We want to be cool. We want that peace of mind. We don't want people to be thinking. And that's why I feel like I did what I did, just to try and fit in, just to have name brands, just to try and help out around the household, just to try and do sounds, to try and keep up with what I saw was a race. I didn't realize it's not even a race. It's not, no one's running, but in my mind, it's a full-blown race and I'm coming last. I need to step it up. So therefore I do things and and then in my mind I think I'm getting ahead in the race. And I look at people and I think I've passed you in the race. You know, people look at me different. I've passed you, and then that's how I think a lot of people from where I'm from kind of build up their mindset based on things they've done, based on fear, based on love as well, based on all of these things, what you designer, and it's really what they create. I'll tell you one little story which shattered my mind, because I feel like that's how I learn. I really learn when I shatter it for myself. Hence the reason why we say you are the best teacher for yourself. But where I grow up now, I used to sell, everyone used to sell a lot of drugs and stuff, and we used to see Gucci, Louis Vuitton, all these name brands. That meant, you're doing well, right? So when you had these name brands, you're doing well. If you didn't have these name brands, you weren't doing so good. So everyone's striving for these name brands, right? That's it. You get 500 quid, you spend that on a t-shirt, you know what I mean? And then you get another 500. And that's how we're trying to keep up. So further on a couple of years, I'm doing removals now, and we get this job, and it said mother's PA, and mother's PA. Woof, I've never heard of that. So we pull up to this mansion, right, and it's huge, and there's a lot of people working. It looked like a little Disney movie, but there's a lot of people working and doing the garden and this, that, and we pull up to their like 4-space garage, and they let us in, and we're meant to be moving out the door, and she's got these candles, and they're worth like $1,000. I can't remember the name, but they're worth like $1,000, right? So obviously all my judgments coming in, right? This is why I'm telling you all these things. So all my judgments coming in, and I'm thinking, wow, like this is crazy. So she had a lot of stuff. We packed up anyway. So we're waiting for her mum to come home now, and she's the owner of all this. So in my head, I'm thinking, ooh, Bentley truck, Lambo. I'm thinking, do you know what I mean? A Mercedes, or she might be chauffeured, or do you know? I'm thinking, ooh, Gucci chains. I'm thinking, what's she gonna come with? And she just came in a standard Ford, not a name brand inside. Say, yeah, you're right, guys, tipped us, and just carried on normal and talking to people normal. And I'm shell-shocked because this is not what I know to be rich. Do you know what I mean? Or my only opinion of rich is chains, rings, rentals, and jewelry, girls, bottles, and
Knobs.
you know, but you've got a mansion that I can run around, that I have to get a scooter on, that I have to phone you to say, yo, babe, where are you in the house? This house was massive. But she just pulled up bog standard normal. She'll walk past me on the road, and I probably wouldn't, because of my mind frame, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't think anything of it, but wow, here you are, and you've got this big mansion, So straight away, that shattered my mind frame of, like, is it the image? It can't be the image. Of course it can't be the image, you idiot. Like, you created that. And from there, it's like I begin to explore and see, well, what is really real? It can't be within the jewelry or the clothing or the hat. Do you know what I mean? It has to be inside, like, however you feel. Well, I'm going to stop rambling.
You see, from that, Wilson, that just tells me simply that the awareness shows you where it's really coming from, or gets you curious enough to look and see that where you think is coming from, it may not be coming from there.
Yeah.
And just stay a bit more aware, and maybe a bit more will be revealed. But maybe it's not how you always thought it was. Because maybe if I can feel like that or see something that has totally shattered a belief that I've had, that nobody didn't tell me, I've only made up for myself, then maybe there's a lot of other things going on that could do with shattering that I've made up for myself. Mm-hmm. And just knowing that, just I love this awareness. It's just beautiful, the awareness. Like that scratch glass scenario where, I don't know where it says, where it's like looking through life through the scratch lens. But when you're aware, it's like you're looking for it through clear, HD, Blu-ray, everything. You can just see everything super sharp and see it for what it is.
I love what you're sharing, because how we all, you know, like what you were talking about that, and I was thinking, oh, okay, so we don't all have the same perception about people that are rich, because it just brought me back that at some point I was doing Zumba classes, so dancing classes for a group in a village hall for adult learning. And people will come to the hall, and I wouldn't see the cars. I wouldn't see. So everybody's wearing their, simple clothes, and we're all the same. So this is for a couple of years, and I have a beautiful relationship with this group. And comes a point where comes the summer, and there's not enough people to sign up for the next class. So two of the ladies come and say, well, look, we want to go on because we really love it. We don't want to stop. So we were thinking, this person, we'll call her Juliet. So Juliet has a big kitchen. And if you don't mind, would you like to come and see Juliet's kitchen and see if we can do the class there? And we'll pay you. You tell us how much, and we'll keep doing the class until we restart for September or whatever. I said, yeah, that's brilliant. I have this beautiful relationship with them. since the beginning, great relationship, connection, fantastic. I arrived to the house, and the house is this again, to me, this big sort of big mansion house, which took me by surprise. The cars park outside are like, you know, wonderful, really expensive car. One another, and you know, so we go in, and this is the house I imagine in my dream will be my dream house. Somebody had got it out of my dreams, put it there. And I'm like, wow, we go into the kitchen, and that's the perfect kitchen. But the perfect, you know, everything I wanted was there. And I get in an awful mood. I just think, oh, okay. I don't know what happened. At the time, I was just like, you know, in a really horrible mood. And I was just thinking, oh, they're rich. They're bad people. Rich people are bad people because they use other people for the money. It's the only way you can become rich. And I thought they were good, and they were my friends. I made up a whole thing. Soon enough, we're not talking about the class. We're talking about how horrible my divorce is going to be. And I'm having hell. I'm just sitting there in hell with these two ladies that had really good ideas for something really great that was actually going to save my summer economically. And so I'm in hell. So at some point I'm like, you know what? My head's like that, and I'm like, I need to go. I'm going to go. I'll let you know what I think. And then I go out and I think, whoa, what happened just there? You know, what happened? What was that, Carolina? What happened? So I thought, oh, you started judging them. You started putting a lot of judgment on them. What? Because they seem to have money, and that changes them from who they were at the village hall. And then I realized for the first time the huge amount of thinking I had about money, and I thought that's going to be helpful. I'm not going to be able to earn more money if I think that is a bad thing, because I don't want to be bad. So then I was doing a training, and I went to the training and I talked to other people about this. And then I was in London, and actually in London, you can actually sort of see going past these Ferraris and Lambos and whatever, also here, but, you know, and then I thought, I'm going to give the people I love, the friends that I love and respect, one of these expensive cars. So every time I saw a car pass or whatever, I was like, oh, there goes Jacqueline Hollows that I love so much. So, oh, there goes Wayne. Bye. Whoa, there goes, you know, my neighbor. That is brilliant. And my perception started changing. So after that, I thought, I called them and I said, this is a brilliant idea. Let's do the class in your kitchen. And the next time I was so thankful I was able to enjoy that house where it was just for an hour or two, and we have a cup of tea and have a chat. Now, that's been going for about 5-6 years. I decided not to go back to the other class because that is one of my favorite classes during the week. And not only that, when this happened, they were happy to move into virtual and do it on Zoom. And so it keeps going, it keeps connecting. Thank God I managed to catch myself on that amount of judgment. And my relationship to money is changing, and to rich people is changing. So how funny is it that, you know, Omar is saying like, oh wow, you know, I thought they were supposed to come with the tiaras and all the diamonds around them, and but they're just in leggings that look from Asta, okay, and And then, you know, for me, they were like, no, the only way you're going to be rich is horrible. And also going back to Derrick's at the beginning, saying, I found myself rooting for the police, going, yeah, well done, you got them, you know. It's just good to see that you're not the same person you were yesterday, and things in your perception, how you see things, can change at any time. We're not fixed. We're not Derrick or Carolina or Junior or Mavinga, or call yourself whatever you want, you know. Call yourself Hello Kitty and be happy with it, you know, unless, you know, you have copyright problems with Hello Kitty. But anyway, there's a hand up, Claire. You want to mute yourself.
Oh, I loved what everyone's been saying, and I can so relate to it. I mean, goodness me, you know, sort of, and I do daily judge people, judge myself. It still happens all the time for me. But you know what? I feel so lucky now to realise that it's just thinking. It's just my thinking. And now, you know, these thoughts come in my head. I might have an initial reaction of like, you know, they've really got on my wick or whatever. And then, I start laughing because I just, right, Claire, just shut up. You just think it's your thinking. It's not them. It's what you're thinking about that's causing the reaction, sort of thing. But I just feel so grateful to know this. Because I think very easily I could have gone through my life, like all of us, could have gone through our lives still stuck in that my old mindset and not knowing any different, you know? And that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And for me, do you know what? That's not the sad part, but that's the part that if you don't know, then you just don't know. And you sort of think you're all right. Because before this, I sort of thought I was all right. I was sort of doing all right. I was sort of there was a few bad bits, prison and whatever, but hey, everybody has bad bits, don't they? So yeah, if you would have sold, I'm sort of all right. I don't need none of that stuff. I'm all right. But then when you expand my box a little bit, then it's like, oh, okay, let me see if I can expand a little bit more. Okay, let me see if I can. When you just know you're able to take one step, for me, that's enough to just know that I can take another one and then another one. And that's my potential right there, just the one step, not the reaching to the stars. The one step is my potential. And if I know I take the right one step, then the potential's endless. The potential, and even if I take the wrong step, I can still take the next step as the right step and still reach my potential. And that's what I like about it. Just before I knew it, I wouldn't have wanted to know it. But when you know it, you love it, and you just know that you're on the right path.
Yeah, you just don't know any different, do you? That's the thing.
That's it, yeah.
And you're absolutely right. It is. It's just like amazing potential that probably, well, for me personally, I would never have realised. Yeah, totally.
Same.
For me, the biggest thing I've taken out of the principles and everything is loving myself. Never loved myself, but that's the biggest thing I've got. Yeah, I really do love myself, and that's not ego. Yeah, that's just yeah. It said to one of us guys a few years back about loving yourself. What? Don't be stupid. But yeah, that's the biggest thing I've taken away from everything.
You see, with that as well, Pete, I remember that to forgive myself because I tend to forgive everything else, but forgiving yourself as well. When you start loving yourself, you can tend to start forgiving yourself as well, because we tend to forgive everyone else, but forget to forgive ourselves. So once you start loving yourself, I remember forgiving myself for certain things that led me onto that dark road with itself. So forgiving yourself.
I think what you just said as well, Chris, is key, you know, because I used to forgive myself all the time, give my little fake forgivenesses and then move on and then do it again a few weeks. But when you love yourself and you can truly love yourself and then you really forgive yourself, then you can move on. But you have to have that realization of your worth and your love and your potential. And yeah, you just have to know, be that bit closer to you to know that, yeah, when you forgive yourself, you're fully forgiving yourself. with nothing, no more attachment onto it, just forgiven. And that's what I said here when you said that.
I always used to look for people to love me, you know, going back to my old ways. But the one thing I realise now, how could anyone love me if I didn't love myself?
You're not the only one, Pete.
Oh, I got buckets of those stories, mate.
Trust me, Pete, you're not the only one, mate.
And it all stemmed from the same thing, looking for that same thing from outside.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Not it's crazy because you're looking for something outside yourself that you think that you haven't got, or you think that you can't possess. But you're the holder. It's that key maker thing again, Omar. You're the holder to everything. And that's why when Omar said earlier that we know love and we know, but how do we wind up just thinking it's such a vulnerability and trying to hide it when we should be showing it and using it as our strength? But somewhere in all of our upbringings, or something's happened to all of us where we just sort of use it as sparingly, or only take it out on special occasions like the Sunday cutlery. But no, it's supposed to be worn every day and shown to everybody and shared and given to anybody that wants a piece of it. And if
Derrick, growing up, like my background, we're not allowed to cry as men. Like growing up on the roads, we're not allowed to cry as men. We're not allowed to show our vulnerability as men. So growing up with an older brother kind of like toughened me up to not show my weakness, but at the same time, yeah, he took that vulnerability that actually kept me alive, still wanted to have fun as a youngster. But growing up, just like before, I wanted to say, I was so keen to go outside. Now these days, I don't even want to go outside because I know what's outside. But when I was younger, I really wanted to go outside. And my mum was stopping me from outside because she knew all the turnings and wrong turnings I could take. So I wasn't ready as a child, but we still want to go outside. You know what I mean? But now I don't want to go outside. But literally getting back with that, it's, yeah, man. Like really, really loving yourselves and taking that initiation and taking that first step to knowing that we're not broken. We're not broken. Now, I only can speak for myself. And I coming from a big family, like I really felt like I wasn't getting that attention that we always thought we needed as growing up. So we tend to look elsewhere and want to belong to a certain group of friends, but at the same time, you're showing that ego love because you're not really showing up as yourself. You know what I mean? Your ego's taking control now because you don't like what you're seeing at home, so you want to go outside. You know what I mean? So you tend to fall into habits that you just want to fit in, so you just turn into them habits. You know, like your mom can't afford certain things at home, so you know how to get it. So you get it just a quick way so you can fit in with that crowd because you got it on your feet now. You know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah, and knowing that I caused all this is a blessing for me now because I don't blame no one no more. Because before I used to point the blame, I used to point the finger to people and like, nah, it's your fault. Nah, it's your fault. Nah, man. Nah, bro. 100%. This understanding has got me there, man.
100%. Yeah, the biggest thing you just said there for me was I'm not broken. Yeah, for years I thought I was broken. I didn't belong here. You know, I didn't want to be here. But then now I just realised I was just lost in my thinking. That's all it was, just lost thinking. You know, having this understanding now. Wow. Yeah.
I've got a question. Because I think when we share, it would be useless to share just the good things, like the good moments and the moments of clarity and just the. So yesterday, my mom decides this is a long thing with my mom and she and her partner, and she just decides to send a message to me and my brother, and she's very abusive and aggressive, but for the way I see it. and I get very judgmental, and I can't forgive her, and I can't forgive myself for not forgiving her. And I got furious. It was like 12:30, and I was just thinking, I really, really want to hurt her, and I really want to send horrible messages. But I had enough awareness to not do that. So all I could say was just stop it. Just stop it. And so she sent a few more things, and then my brother sent something, and just before we were about to start the call, I could see there's a message there, and Wayne looks at me, and I said, I'm not going to open it, because I know it's like if like that message has power over me, like I want her to love me, and I feel that she doesn't. It doesn't matter what I do. So even though I can't see there, guys, and I say, yeah, I can see so much, like, as Chris was saying, like, so I don't want to feel hurt, and it looks like she hurts me, and I don't want to go into more arguments with her. And in a way, it's the first time I said, just stop, please stop. It's the first time. But I don't know how to not get, like, I'm afraid of looking at my phone now. So you see, when we're in it. And so when I sit here, you usually see me sort of in a place of, well, I'm grounded, sort of thing. And always, but so what would you say that you think it would be helpful?
But I know Omar's got this thing that he says where he says, like, our feelings in the moment are not necessarily a call to action, where they're just an indicator of where our thinking's at in that moment. And no matter how bad or sticky it feels, that thinking will pass and that moment will pass. And sometimes we feel like there's something that we have to do, or there's something that has to be said, and then that will help it go away. In actual fact, it's just an indicator as to where your head's at. So that if you're in a good space and you look at that message, it might take you out of that good space and put you in another space. But if you look at it when you're in a bad space, it's only going to send you off in a further, more thinking or more something you have to do as a call to action. But if just by getting that, just by hearing it ring, and you look and you see the name and the feeling that you get, that that's not a call to action. That's just you busy thinking that you know where it's come from. When that passes and that settles, then you could probably see things a bit more clearer. And even if you don't, then just remember that your feelings ain't really a call to action. I love what you said as well, Caroline, when you said it's not just in the highs that we learn, it's down in the grit that we learn. For me personally, most of my biggest learning has taken place when I'm down in the dirt, when I'm in the mud. And I think Chris said it earlier, where times for me I've been in a room and it's dark and there's no way out. But because I know that there's a door somewhere in that room, I know that I just got to keep on looking. And all the other distractions, all the other things that look like a door, what make me cause action, no, that's not the door. If I just settle down and just stay there long enough, I know I will find that door. And sometimes it's not nice just staying in the dark and saying, all right, I'm prepared to stay in the dark. But if you stay in the dark, you know there's a door down there. So then you will see that door. And once you will see that door. And that's all I can say really. But me personally, when I've been down in something, is then that's when I sort of look into myself and know that I find a way out. And just the feelings are not a call to action. And yeah, you're such a bubbly person anyway, Caroline, with so much love and so much thingy to offer. So yeah, just know that it's not a call to action. And yeah, you are love, man, Carolina. Yeah, I love you, man. So yeah, just know that it's not a call to action.
Thank you.
I think one thing that I heard you say when you said that a minute ago was the fact that you had the resilience inside you to turn around and say no.
Mm-hmm.
There's a resilience inside you that knows when to put that limit. And Derrick, I love what you just said, because there's times where Caroline has literally lifted me off the ground and really helped me. And you know, for me, I always kind of come back to this, but having my disability, there's been times where I've had my disability and I've kind of felt really awful and felt really, you know, and just didn't want to be here because of it. But having this understanding, I've kind of come across it and kind of gone, you know what, I'm me. And there's times where, you know, I've kind of been in a low place, and Caroline has just said, sit there. You have to go through it. And it is hard. But as you've just said, that's where the learning is. Well, that's where the learning can be.
Yeah.
And that's what I'd say to you.
I love to, honestly, thank you so much, because you know, I find myself coming back home because it's, yeah, who said I have to have a look at the message or I need to reply to it? I have like this little devil, you know, in my head going, have a look, have a look, have a look. And as you were saying, that's great, because like this is not call to action. Like wisdom never calls you to action in a very anxious, you know, like it's like, if you don't get it now, the deal is, you know, fires. Like, one of those fast sells, like, you know, it's like, and it feels like that. It feels like if my mom sends a message, I'm supposed to reply and have a look straight away. It's like out of respect. And I remember you were talking, I remember yesterday, I look at my daughter, she's 17, and I said, no more toxic relationships. Doesn't matter if it's my mom. I don't care who they are. This is nearly about the last one that is in this sort of style. Like, not, and I can see that it's not that not having a relationship with her is not accepting having a relationship in these terms. And if that means not having her, and it's, yeah, thank you. The no call for action is just,
I love that. I love that. You know what I love as well? See, some things what people think of their vulnerabilities and their height, that's their strength, man. Because all I'm looking at now is you're seeing the biggest, strongest, just pure love. And it's all strength. It's all strength. And I think that's brilliant. That's the resilience, what you said there, Wayne, what is there, what lets you know what to do in the offset to stop it from all going bad. You've had enough, this is it. But what does this is it look like? Well, just be quiet and just sit with it. And then that will give you an answer. Not do this or do that. Because like you said, the ego's like the street dealer with the long dodgy Mac on saying, come on, buy it now, or yeah, right now, or yeah. Wisdom just whispers, just like, just take a walk, just do something, and then something will happen. And then that's what you, and you know you're full of that, Carolina, you know you're full of that. So you just have to sit with it, and then it will come to you beautifully, beautifully. And you know you got Wayne right there as well, the massive support. And yeah, I love the way you guys look into each other's eyes, man. This is beautiful, man. But yeah, with that there going on, yeah, it's amazing. So yeah, just sit with it, Carolina. That's all I can say.
I think even when you know it, it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been times with me that one of the first insights I had, which led back to what somebody was saying earlier, was that when one of the first insights I had was with Janet Riney, and she said, if you're not Wayne, who are you? Who can you be? And I was just like, what? Don't mess around with me, you know. And that literally blew my mind. And I was just angry. And I remember, like, shortly after, like, talking to her and saying, well, this really upset me. I couldn't grab onto it. I couldn't let go of who I was. Because who I was, I'd made this whole kind of life around. You know, Wayne's got a disability, Wayne's this, Wayne's that. And she was like, yeah, but Wayne can be anything he wants to be. And it's like I was saying to Pete beforehand, I'm retraining now. I'm working with 3P UK now. Ask me that 5 years ago, would I have been doing that? No. But for me also, I don't have to feel guilty for having a disability. And I remember the majority of insights I've had massive wobbles after them. And for me, one of the main people that I could rely on was you. To turn around and go, you know what, it's okay. You can wobble all you like. I'm here. And for me, and what I've seen tonight from everyone that's on the call, is you've got loads of people that love you.
100%.
Oh, I can't start to tell you how much I love you all here. When do you have your hand up? And I don't know.
I did. I can remember what I was going to say. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you are beauty. You are beauty inside and out. And you said something, if I can remember, which was, you know, I have to answer her straight away. You don't have to. You can give yourself time. You can pause, because if you do that, you have time to get yourself in a better state of well-being. If you take care of yourself first, you're in a better state to sit with her or listen to her, and you won't be joining her with her thinking if you take care of yourself first. I have a relative like that, and I've learned that because I'd go in with, you know, all that thinking, and I've learned to just take some time, and I can do it quicker now. Take care of me first, and then you don't join them in whatever's going on in their head, because you're entering into her head. Yours is a beautiful head. You don't have to go there. And the other thing you can do, you can say, and I do this to my relative now, I just say, look, I can see where you are, and I might have to interrupt them and say, look, I'm going to call you back in a bit, you know, I'm going to give you some time, you know. And what I've found is I call them back half an hour later, and they're in a better space. Now that might not happen for you, because, you know, I don't know your mum, but give yourself some time. You know what to do. You do.
It's a bit like what Sid says, isn't it? Nobody can make you feel in a certain way. It's only our own thinking that can do it. It's not easy, definitely not. But love you lots.
Thank you. It just annoys me because it's like she makes me feel the 3P, you know, A-level.
No, she doesn't. She
That's a human coming out.
she makes you live it. She makes you live it. Yeah, it's all 3Ps. Yeah, finding your way through the obstacle course. That's all 3Ps, man. Yeah, it's the 3Ps what got you in, and it's the 3Ps what's gonna get you out. Yeah.
I think there's a sorry. I think there's a lesson here for you to learn, to listen. There's something to learn here.
Lily.
Yeah, we're all failures then. We join you. And we celebrate. Yeah. But there was another thing that came up, which I don't know if it's going to be helpful or, you know, at all, but there is always a possibility to see something new about anyone, always, including your mom, you know? So I kind of keep it in somewhere there, you know, when I feel very stuck with someone and I think, oh my God, this is just like, it's gone on forever. It's going to go on forever. That's it. But I see that it's not true. I've seen that not to be true for people I thought I'd made up my mind about, you know, even very close people. So I'm not saying that will happen in this lifetime for you. I really hope so. But there is a possibility, a strong possibility that you might just experience the whole thing differently before you think, you know. Mm-hmm. So there's that as well, you know, just have that little bit going on in the corner that says, you know, don't, you know, that you know, you can experience, and she can see something new at any point, you know, and you can see something new. So that's what came up.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say thank you as well, because I struggle with the same thing, and I'll be real with you, I'm struggling with it right now. Like I'm struggling with it right now because I'm trying to do this, and obviously my dad's just come around and he's talking to me, he's chilling, and I'm you see where you was at. I feel like I'm there. Do you know what I mean? I'm in that frustrated zone. I'm there, and it's hard to see in the moment that I give it power. Do you know what I mean? Because let's say it was somebody else, it wouldn't be the same. It just wouldn't be the same. And it's only because of the attachments I have to my parents that it is like that. And it's like I kind of realized that of you. It's crazy because I'm sitting here right now, like in that stewing, but I'm just listening to you guys, and it's just like, oh yeah, for real. It's crazy because I'm in it, but it's just like I'm trying. When you're in it, innit? But it's
that's
like,
what I was just gonna say.
Yeah, when you're in it, you know. And it's straight back round to awareness as well, because it's like you lot's conversation just brought me to awareness that I just that's my blind spot. Put it that way.
Also being aware that separate realities, isn't it?
100%.
What's going on?
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. That it all just comes back round to awareness, and certain times, even being told that it's all thinking and it's all when you're in it, that you're not really aware enough to see that. You just need to wait until that spot comes for your awareness to kick in. Because sometimes you just have to leave somebody and let them go down the track and have faith that their awareness will kick in at some point. And there's always that wall that seems a lot closer than it actually is. So they can go down the road, they're not going to crash into that wall. The awareness is going to kick in, and then they're going to be right back with you. But sometimes just telling everybody, oh, it's your thinking, that is, You just want to leave them with it and let them go on their own journey down that road, whether that be sit with it in that mood or in that mode. Because then a lot of the time people think, oh, he's in that mood, so I have to change him, I have to do something. Sometimes it's good to, like you said, just let them sit with it and have faith and know that they will see that door, or they will have that moment of awareness. Because that's all it takes, a moment of the awareness. And like what Lily said, I love that, just a glimpse to see something new. And from you can just glimpse something new, and that's the whole possibility. You don't even know what you glimpsed, but it leads to a whole possibility of things, what could possibly be new. So then you sit with it a bit longer. But yeah, I love that. I love that. And you know what I love as well? That we can talk about these things with these principles, and it doesn't lower the mood. It doesn't, we're not all on a doubt. It's all love. From the love just covers the highs to the lows. When there's love involved, then it's just a big space that we occupy, and it hasn't even got a name. It's just beautiful. And yeah, that's just how I feel now. I can't even express it in words, but yeah, I love it. I love being in this
Ocean
space.
of love.
Oh, and I'm drowning. Oh boy.
Oh, dear.
Oh man.
I loved it, like when Omar said at some point, because from where I come from, like we want to know how you're doing and if you're perceived this way or that way. And then I thought, the place you're coming from, where if that's planet Earth, that includes all of us, really. I feel the same. I mean, I don't know where on earth you don't feel like that, or anybody doesn't feel like that. So it's just like levels the plane that we're all the same. We're all at the end of the day, like our insecurities just sometimes take over, and sometimes we can see it, and and end of the day we all go, oh, is this problem? No, it's that problem. No, it's that problem. Behind all that is, I want to be loved. I want to be connected. I want to, I can't stand the feeling of insecurity. That's all. We all end up on whatever, problem you call it. But for whatever reason, with some people or some circumstances, we feel it's like, or for where we come from, or it's that's different. But it really isn't. And I love you guys so much. I fell in love with Beyond Recovery, and Mama J is here, and I say it every time. And we both, you guys and the group that we have here tonight, such beautiful people. We really, really love you like family. When we say that, it's not just that we say it as a, well, it sounds nice. I'm learning to love you like I love my family, really. Well, better than I love my mom at the moment, for sure.
There we go. I love that. Oh, man.
It's been brilliant. I can't realize that we are sort of over the hour. Thank you ever so much. It's been a surprise.
From you.
You absolutely bring the best out of everything and everyone. Your spirit is just incredible, guys. And so we want to have you always. You're always welcome to come back. We're gonna have Jacqueline Mama J on the next series with her book, and about how to create some writing, but that's coming. But before the next series, our last episode of this series 4 is next week. And on episode 10, we're going to have Rob Cook. And Rob was in the Air Force in the United States, and he worked with a lot of people in the Army and in the forces. Now he also works as a personal training. And so he wants to talk about being healthy is an art, or the art of being healthy. So we're going to talk about that, he's created something called Unfit, and it's basically not usually probably for the guys that go like, yeah, I'm gonna hit the gym and give me those whatever, like also Mama J is doing with her beautiful videos of showing how her started running, and she got all motivated, and everybody can run if she can do it. It's a bit like that. I think what he's doing is just empowering women to learn self-defense, which in the United States it's very important because they're very rough areas. So he's gonna come and talk about all this new stuff that he's doing, and he's such a lovely guy. So you're very welcome to join us next week. It's been a pleasure, and you're always going to be in our series, like even series 220.
Thank you.
So where can people find you?
You can find us at Beyond Recovery, and we've got at Facebook, Beyond Truth Facebook, and we're going to have a Beyond Truth Instagram and all of that stuff soon as well. But yeah, Beyond Recovery and Beyond Truth, that's where you can find us.
Lovely. Is that beyondrecovery.com or .co.uk?
Yeah, .co.uk. There it is.
.co.uk.
Almost put it in the chat.
It was .co.uk. So beyondrecovery.co.uk. There's also, you have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, we've got the YouTube channel, Beyond TV.
There's Beyond TV for Beyond Truth as well. So there's a lot. We're going to put all the links.
Podcast.
Oh.
Come on, Derrick.
Check out the upcoming program.
YouTube.
Beyond TV.
Beyond TV.
Oh my god.
So we're going to put all the links. Also, if you want to learn to run, inspired, was it Derrick, wasn't it? You inspired Mama J. So Jacqueline Holler has learned how to run. There are videos of like what to do. They're really cool on YouTube. You can see they're like really cool also because they're short videos that you can just, watch while you're cooking, or don't watch while you're driving. You can listen to them while you're driving.
You can watch while you're running.
While you're running.
Yeah. Or moving around your car, Wayne.
Yeah.
So it's super cool because you can see Jacqueline there, like, sweating and like, yeah, or like today, today I didn't feel like going out, but then I thought, well, so it's more like all of us really. I don't know, very few people really get up in the morning and were like, I'm gear up, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to run a 5K and come back, have a shower. And, that's more. So inspiration, lots of inspiration. So thank you. We'll see you next week. And we keep seeing you because you're part of this and you will ever be. So
all right then.
Thanks, guys.
Love you guys.
Bye, Claire.
Bye, Claire. Bye, Lily. Bye, Susan. Bye, Chris. Bye, Wayne.
Brilliant.
Bye, Dee.
Bye, Mama J.
Bye, Cristine. Bye, Donna.
Bye,
Bye,
Leandro.
Debbie.
Bye, Debbie. Bye, Heidi.
Bye, bye. Bye, Donna.
Chris.
Heidi.
Bye.
Carolina and Wayne.
Thank you.